to section 3-2, and this is going to be part 2 of energy flow. We're going to talk about trophic levels, and first we have to define what a trophic level is. A trophic level is each step in a food chain or a food web. Producers make up the first level. So that's going to be your grass, your algae, whatever's at the bottom of your food chain or your food web. Consumers make up the second, third, or higher trophic levels. And if we remember from the podcast that you watched yesterday, consumers are the ones that are going to eat something in order to get their energy. So each consumer depends on the trophic level below it for energy. That's one important thing to understand. Each consumer depends on the trophic level below it for energy. So if we look at the picture over here, this organism depends on the aquatic plants. This fish depends on this larva. This larger fish depends on the fish below it for energy. Energy moves, once again, from the bottom to the top. There are ways that you can describe the flow of energy, and these are called ecological pyramids. So the amount of energy or matter in an ecosystem can be represented by an ecological pyramid, and there are going to be 3 different types of ecological pyramids that you're going to learn about. Here's the definition of an ecological pyramid. It is a diagram that shows the relative amounts of energy or matter contained within each trophic level of a food chain or a food web. So now we're going to go through the 3 different types of ecological pyramids. The first type is an energy pyramid, and your notes that you're going to fill in are going to have separate slides for each of these diagrams. So the energy pyramid shows the relative amount of energy available at each trophic level. Organisms use about 10% of this energy for life processes. The rest is lost in heat, and that's one thing that you're going to have to remember. 10%, it's the 10% rule. So only 10% moves from the bottom up. And as you can see, the numbers are getting smaller. The rest is lost in heat. So that's for the energy pyramid. The other type of pyramid is a biomass pyramid. This represents the amount of living organic matter at each trophic level. Typically, the greatest biomass is at the bottom. And as you're looking at the diagram, at the bottom of this diagram, you've got grain, and then as you move up, chickens, and then at the top, you've got humans. So there's more corn, and then we've got our chickens, and then we've got our human at the top. So biomass is, once again, living organic matter. That's biomass. Bio means living. The final ecological pyramid is a pyramid of numbers, and basically you're counting the number of individual organisms at each trophic level. So that's pretty simple to figure out. So we'll go, and this is where you'll start to fill in your notes. So once again, the energy pyramid, only part of the energy that is stored in one trophic level is passed to the next. And that's the 10% rule. So only 10% of the energy available within each trophic level is transferred to the organisms in the next trophic level. This is key. And remember, the rest of it is lost as heat energy. The more levels that exist between a producer and a top-level consumer, the less energy that remains from the original amount. So if this is 1,000, this is going to be 100, this is going to be 10, and this is going to be 1. Biomass, once again, a biomass pyramid is the total amount of living tissue within a given trophic level. If you remember, bio means life, and then mass refers to the amount. So that's where we get the amount of living tissue within a given trophic level. Biomass is expressed in terms of grams of organic matter per unit of area. And this is, once again, we have to put the units on here. So it's grams of organic matter per unit of area. A biomass pyramid represents the amount of potential food available at each trophic level. And here's the key in the underlined. A biomass pyramid represents the amount of potential food available for each trophic level. This is the first, second, third, fourth. So this pyramid here has 4 trophic levels, with the producers on the bottom and the consumers going towards the top. The last is the pyramid of numbers, and once again, if you look at the example that is in the picture, this is where we are counting the number of organisms at each particular level. Primary is your first level, secondary is your second level, and tertiary can be either the third or fourth level. So tertiary could be a third or even fourth level. So a pyramid of numbers is based on the number of individual organisms at each trophic level. Once again, the numbers of individual organisms at each trophic level. For some ecosystems, such as a meadow, the pyramid of numbers is the same as that of the energy and biomass pyramids. And what we mean by that is the shape is the same. The shape is triangular, which means there's more on the bottom in here and less on the top. So this would be grass, this was a meadow, and this might be a hawk on the top. For others, such as a forest, there are fewer producers than there are consumers. So the forest pyramid of numbers is going to look just a little bit differently. Maybe it might be shaped like a pyramid that looks like this, where there's less grass on the bottom and there's more of the tertiary consumers at the top. Or sometimes they have a diamond shape, where there's more organisms in the middle and less at the top and less at the bottom. This would probably be what your forest biomass or pyramid of numbers is going to look like, because there's lots of trees but very little grass and less top level organisms. And that concludes podcast 3-2, part 2.